أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. ما شاء الله لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وخاتم النبيين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في محكم كتابه المجيد وفرقانه الحميد وقوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هل يستوي الذين يعلمون والذين لا يعلمون إنما يتذكر أولو الألباب. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in Surah Az-Zumar verse 9, where he says, "Say, O Prophet, to the people that are those who possess knowledge and those who do not possess knowledge the same. None will be mindful of this fact except the people of reason." Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I begin in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most beneficent and the most merciful. Praise be to that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who is known as Al-Khabir, the one who is watchful. Praise be to that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who knows the truth of all things. Every single atom does not move or stay still. Every single soul is at ease or is at distress. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the knowledge of everything in this universe. He knows and He controls even the smallest leaf in the world. Praise be to that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who is known as Al-Raqib, the watchful one. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything in this universe. He is the one that never forgets, neither does He sit back. He is the one who is always present. He is never absent. Praise be to that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who is Al-Alim, the all-knowing. The difference between Al-Alim and Al-Khabir is that Al-Alim is the one who possesses knowledge, but Al-Khabir is the one who possesses knowledge but applies that knowledge to unseen matters. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala possesses both seen and unseen knowledge. It is because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy that we have the opportunity to gather as a community to commemorate and mourn over the tragedy of Karbala that befell upon Imam Hussein alayhi salam and his family. In Islam, there are countless and numerous times where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promoted knowledge. In my last lecture, in the first session, I discussed the importance of Karbala. And I said that in order to understand the decisions that Imam Hussein alayhi salam made behind Karbala, in order to become a follower and lover of the Ahlulbait AS, you will need to first understand the importance and emphasize the importance of seeking knowledge, of pursuing knowledge. In Islam, both in practical terms as well as in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continuously tells His servants to seek knowledge. Even in the Quran, if we look at the attribute al-alim, which means the all-knowing, and it is used to describe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses this attribute 122 times in the Quran. 122 times. That is more than the number of surahs in the Quran. If we look at the few verses that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals to the prophets when he first started prophethood, what were the verses that Angel Jibreel revealed to him? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. Read in the name of the Lord who created. The first words of revelation pointed towards the importance of education and the ability to read and write. The first word of revelation pointed towards seeking knowledge. This shows how important pursuing knowledge is in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our sixth Imam, Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salatu was-salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, says in Al-Kafi that the best form of worship is that worship that you contemplate, you reflect about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His power. That is the best form of worship. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not say that salah is the best, that Sawm is the best. He says that in order to reach a high status and in order for you to be considered a beloved servant in the eyes of Allah, you need to first gain knowledge. Even our other Imams, they have at many times recommended knowledge over wealth. One time when a man asked the Imam that, should you take wealth or should you take knowledge? The Imams replied that knowledge is more valuable than wealth. Wealth ages as time goes by. It loses its appreciation, it degrades, its value decreases. But the more you learn, the more knowledge you gain, the more you share with others, that value of knowledge increases. SubhanAllah. When Islam was preached to the people, when Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam revealed the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the first goal of Islam was to seek knowledge. At the time, the people were known for their ignorance. They were famous for being among the Jahiliyyah. At that time, their era was known as the age of ignorance. They would fight with their tribes unnecessarily over petty things. The people, the Arabs, they would worship wood. They would worship materials like rocks and dates. All of these were continuous signs that these people lacked knowledge. These people were ignorant. So when the prophets came, his number one priority was to introduce knowledge to him. We can see that the prophet would promote knowledge very often. For example, in the war of Badr. In the war of Badr, when the Muslims were against the unbelievers, the Muslims won. And the war of Badr resulted in 70 kuffar, 70 unbelievers to be imprisoned. The Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he cleverly devised a condition. And he said to those unbelievers, those disbelievers, that, "Oh disbelievers, I have set a condition for you, that if you are not jahil, you are not ignorant, and you possess knowledge, if you teach 10 Muslim children how to read and how to write, then I will set you free. You will no longer be a prisoner of war. These were the actions of the Prophet that would promote knowledge. He would continuously ensure that the Muslims knew how to read, they knew how to write. He wanted to avoid ignorance from taking reign of Arabia. But unfortunately, after the passing of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, the people began to resort to their old habits. If we look at the era of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, at the time, the people, they were forced by Muawiyah to curse Imam Ali alayhi salam. Even if you did not have an opinion, or you did not like Imam Ali alayhi salam, or you didn't even hate him, you were still forced to insult him when he would sit on the minbar, when he would sit on the pulpit, when he would give sermons. The governors would be bribed by Muawiyah to criticize and fabricate hadith of Imam Ali alayhi salam. This false information, this confusion and this propaganda led the Muslims to believe very wrong rumors about Imam Ali alayhi salam. It was considered sunnah. The halal became haram and the haram became halal. Everything was mixed up and Islam lost its meaning. So how did Imam Hussein alayhi salam bring Islam back to its righteous path? At the time, the people of Kufa, what they did was that they sent many letters to the Imam. They sent over 18,000 letters saying that, "Oh Imam, come to us. Labayka ya Hussein, we are with you, O Hussein. Come to us and you will become our Imam." But the Imam realized that the same Kufans that did not have knowledge, they did not have the ma'rifah of the Imam, how would they be loyal to Imam Hussein alayhi salam? How would they be able to help Imam Hussein alayhi salam when they did not even understand the basics of Imamah? They did not have the knowledge or ma'rifah of who Imam Hussein alayhi salam truly was. So the Imam alayhi salam, he sent Muslim ibn Aqil to Kufa to test their loyalty. And in the end, during the tragedy of Karbala, we see that it was not the Kufans that claimed allegiance of the Imam and they kept saying that we are with you. It was not them that were on the plains of Karbala. Who were on the plains of Karbala? The true companions of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. The companions who had ma'rifah, who seeked knowledge, who understood who the Imam was. Those were the people who were on the plains of Karbala. Even though the companions of Hussein were very few in number, they were around 70 to 100 in some hadith. Those companions, their loyalty, their commitment, their resolution, their belief, their bravery was unmatched. Till today, you cannot find companions as great as the companions of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Our 12th Imam, Imam Mahdi, Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Faraj al-Sharif. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. He is looking for very similar companions. He is looking for companions like the companions of Imam Hussein. Those who are willing to sacrifice their life, they are willing to sacrifice their family, their property, their wealth all for the sake of Islam and the Imam alayhi salam. If we had such companions existed in this world, we would have seen Imam Mahdi ajallahu ta'ala farajul sharif established his government. But we do not see that. So the first step in gaining knowledge is to understand who is the Imam. I should be able to know what are the priorities of the Imam. What is the purpose of the Imam? What are the titles of the Imam? What are his signs of reappearance? Who is his mother and his father? What is the concept of wilaya and imama? How do I know that Imam Mahdi is the true Imam? These are all questions that I should ask myself, and I should know. I should know the ma'rifah of Imam Mahdi ajallahu ta'ala farajul sharif. And the first step in doing so is to research, is to learn about the Imam. Our Holy Prophet, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, has narrated that there are 5 steps to gaining knowledge. Someone asked him, what is knowledge? And he said, to listen attentively. So the first step is to listen carefully. Then he asked, what is after that? He said, to be silent. And then he asked, what is next? So the first one, listen attentively, be silent. Next is to remember, to retain the information that you learn. And then the man continued and asked, then Ya Nabi. The Prophet then said, to act upon the knowledge that you have learned. You cannot have knowledge and not act upon it. Otherwise, that knowledge becomes not valuable. This knowledge we have, it is a treasure, it is a weapon of the believer. And then after, finally, the man asked one last time, after that, Ya Nabi, he said, to propagate. He said, to share this knowledge with others. These are the 5 steps of gaining knowledge. We have to be silent, listen attentively, remember what we have retained, act upon our knowledge, and propagate. Nowadays, we have been exposed to so many sources of knowledge. There are countless websites and apps that we can go on, and we find English translations of many books of very knowledgeable scholars. You can find the Nahj al-Balagha. You will find videos that talk about Mafatih al-Jinan. You will find lectures that go over Risalat al-Huquq. There are so many sources and websites that we can refer back to and learn and gain that knowledge. But the first step is to go and learn. First step is to have that niyyah, that intention, that will to learn and have knowledge. On social media, we are exposed to so many opinions. There are some good opinions, and there are some that are not the greatest. And there are some opinions that point fingers at our religion. There are some opinions that question and make us doubt about the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They make us question and doubt the usul ad-din. We have to ask ourselves that if we are the lovers and the followers of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, do we have the ma'rifah of the usul ad-din? Do we have the knowledge of tawheed, of adala, of nabuwa, of imama, of qiyamah? Do we have the knowledge of the imam? We need to first establish the usul ad-din, establish what it means to believe in one God, what it means to believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has no partner. And then we can start understanding the mission of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. The Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, there is a very famous hadith. He says, it is called Hadith al-Mat. He says, Man mata walam ya'rif imama zamanihi mata mitatan jahiliya. That the one who dies without knowing the Imam dies as the death of ignorance. They die as a jahil. Now someone heard this hadith from the Nabi, and he asks the Prophet that, "O Prophet, what is the type of jahiliyyah that this person is dying from? Is it jahiliyyatun jahla? Or is it jahiliyyatun la ya'rif imamahu?" What's the difference between the two? There's a difference. Jahiliyyatun jahla is when you are completely ignorant. You do not know from left to right. You are not able to discern truth from falsehood. You are not aware of the wonders of the world. That is jahiliyyatun jahla. You are completely and utterly ignorant. And the second type of jahiliyyah, jahiliyyatan la ya'rif imamahu. He asks that, is it the first type of jahiliyyah, or is he dying from the state of not knowing his Imam? Is he just simply dying because he does not know who his Imam is? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he replies to this man and he says, the type of jahiliyyah he is dying from is jahiliyyatun kufri wa nifaki wa dalal. He is dying from that type of jahiliyyah that causes kufr, it causes disbelief, it causes nifaq, it causes hypocrisy, and third, it causes us to stray away from the right path. This man, the one who does not know his Imam, dies of not one jahil. He's not ignorant of one aspect. He is ignorant of three aspects. He is ignorant of Iman. He is ignorant and becomes a munafiq. And he is ignorant of the right path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why it is so important to know the Imam. It is important to study the aspect of Imamah, the aspect of Tawheed, the aspect of Nubuwwah, all of the Usul al-Din. I would like to end this lecture with just a short question for ourselves to reflect upon. We have to ask ourselves that if we were to have a debate with a group of atheists or people who are not from Islam, who are not a Muslim, and they ask us that, prove the existence of God, prove the concept of Imamah, prove the concept of the Day of Judgment. If they ask us to prove any of the concepts of the Usul al-Din, ask yourself, will you be able to prove that concept in a logical manner without the Quran, without any hadith from a prophet or A'immah? Do you possess enough ma'rifah, enough knowledge of these concepts that you can have such a debate? And if the answer is negative, then it means that we have a long way to go. We have a lot to study and understand. Inshallah, in my next lecture, I will discuss and shed some light on how to use the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, learning about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His attributes, how to use that knowledge and use it to strengthen our Iman, use it to strengthen our yaqeen, our trust and faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase our knowledge and steer us away from ignorance, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us and provide us the necessary resources to attain the ma'rifah of the Imam, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward us for the remembrance and the dhikr of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein during these days. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our dua of being at the shrines of the 14 Ma'sumeen, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us amongst the Ansar, make us amongst those who know the ma'rifah of the Imam ajallahu ta'ala farj al-sharif, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep the 12th Imam safe and may he hasten his reappearance, inshallah. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
शाह सवारे करबला की शाह सवारी को सलाम, नेज़े पे कुरान पढ़ने वाले कारी को सलाम।